Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Rays Rewind with Bell, Bushman, and Drew.
Jansen. That is into center field. Here comes Kiermaier. Phillips has tied the game. Arose Arena coming around. Throw home. Now he stumbles. But the ball gets away. Tampa Bay wins it. Brett Phillips, Game 4 hero.
The sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Welcome back in, everybody. It is the Rays Rewind podcast, courtesy of the Sick Podcast Networks. We are the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast in all the land. Welcome in, everybody. Make sure to go to our YouTube page at the Sick Podcast, Rays Rewind, and hit that subscribe and notification bell. Welcome back in. It's myself, the great Bell Bushman, and as always, with me is my partner in crime, Drew. You know, I thought about it. I know I said, hey, we should change our intro, but I think it's fine the way it is.
Yeah. Well, it's a good, it's good.
Old memories.
Good memories, right? We haven't had a whole lot of
good ones.
Good memories in a few years. Some moments, but nothing too lasting like some of those in the intro. So, yeah, I'm good. Keeping it as is. Hopefully this year will change things. But
you know, I know we spoke. It's kind of funny. We spoke about this last week where, you know, my thoughts about the team has kind of gotten a little bit better about, hey, I think this is like a team that could be actually good. And then This week, a lot of baseball talking heads like ourselves have been coming out saying, hey, the Rays could be actually pretty good this year. And I'm starting to agree. I mean, the rotation is deepest as it's ever been.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think there's some excitement about, you know, the defense and also the lineup too as well. So I think the Rays are in a good spot. So far, spring has been fun. There's been one standout that a lot of people have been talking is Chandler Simpson. I wanted to ask you, do you think, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, it wouldn't hurt to put him in the lineup with his speed and his bat. I know his defense still maybe needs a little bit of work, but you know, what harm could it do to put him in the 40-man roster and put him in the lineup? Does he deserve it? I mean, that's the first question. Does he deserve
it? I mean, I think you can make the case easily for him over, you know, some of the other guys on the 40-man. No, you know, was it Jake Magnum? Is that his last name? Jake Magnum? And
I think so, yeah.
I think they got him, I forget where they got from the Marlins or something, but you know, they got some other outfitters on the 40-man that, you know, Cameron Meisner, I think on the 40-man, got called up last year, made his debut. You know, some of those guys, the only difference is they've done it at the AAA level, and Chandler hasn't yet. He hasn't gone to AAA. So I guess you could say that they deserve it over him at AAA. And in the case of Meisner, he's had actual time on the team. I mean, but you know, the baseball, you know, everyday fan in me, I'm not a general manager. I'm not a front office. I'm not a scout. So I look at it and think that he absolutely should be on the 40-man. And I hope that they give him serious consideration for the roster spot to start the year. I just don't think it's likely. The Rays operate, they're very rarely going to give guys a chance without having them go through AAA first, no matter the prospect, you know, whether from Wander. And, you know, I know Junior came up that in 2023. That was more out of necessity. But, you know, from Wander and Junior to, you know, Benzo, Kevin Kiermaier, and, you know, these guys that are way down the list, they make them prove in AAA. So I don't expect it to happen. I do think that they should consider it, and I hope that Chandler Simpson continues to push their hand because, one, you know, I didn't say this earlier, but before the spring training started, spring training is so much fun. You know, you kind of it goes through waves. You get excited about the team breaking camp, games start, and then you're finally seeing the team on the field, you know, getting the gang back together on the, you know, Valley Sports Crew or whatever it's called now, FanDuel Sports Crew. And it's just, you know, then you kind of get to a lull and you're ready for the season to start. And then, but the Rays, to my knowledge, one of the things that makes spring training exciting is these stories where these guys come into camp not expecting to make the roster, and they just prove it, and they break camp with the team. They come out opening day, and it's, there's energy to it and excitement. And the Rays haven't had that.
In a
I
while.
remember them having a guy come into camp that wasn't expected to make the team based on their performance in spring training. It might be because of an injury or something, but and we haven't had that kind of excitement in Rays camp in a long time. So I think it's great. I mean, I'm tuning in every time he's appointment viewing for me. At this point, watching him I almost want him to hit these soft dribblers in the infield, just watch him run.
Just so he can beat them out. And infield it.
And so I hope he continues to push their hand. I will say this: he is somebody that, just again, from my perspective, he's a guy. I get that he doesn't have AAA success; he hasn't been at that level. But this is a guy. His skill set is somebody that I feel like every day that goes by, he's not on the roster, is opportunity lost, because his speed, the things that make him stand out are things that don't. Those are the first to go, right? So I think they got to strike while the iron's hot. Like I get that he's whatever, going from AA to majors, but if he can field, which I don't understand the fielding thing. I feel like
they said that about Junior too. They said that about Junior.
Guys that come out, and it's like, oh yeah, they really want him to work on his fielding. They make it seem like that he just, these guys can't field basic plays. And I just don't ever see that to be the case. The only guy I remember that actually being the case for, I felt like that was like, okay, he's not very good, is Curtis Mead. And that's because his throwing motion was just all wacky. Aranda's okay. I mean, he's not the best, but I mean, he's, manageable. I don't know. So like when I see Simpson out there, you hear he's transitioning to center field. I would read reports where his fielding was, lackluster. He was really struggling. He would be a liability out there, but then now supposedly he's been working on it, and he's going out and making these incredible plays. He's fast as anybody out there. And it's like, sure, DeLuca is probably a better, more polished center fielder, but
okay. So I'm glad that you brought that up, because DeLuca's out there. DeLuca's okay, but the bat from DeLuca is. So if they were going to give him a shot and he's transitioning into center field, there's got to be kind of a plan in place to maybe have him come in and start at center field, because maybe they don't think DeLuca is going to work out because of just the way DeLuca was last year. You know what I mean? I mean, and plus, I know DeLuca's fast, but Simpson is super fast, and he kind of reminds me of the speed power of what Kevin Kiermaier had. Right. So, if he's doing this well in spring, I just say, why not take a shot? Because, I mean, what else do you have to lose? I mean, he comes up for maybe a month or so, and then if he's not doing well, just send him back down.
Yeah, send him AAA. For sure. There's a lot of things that I feel like make sense and seem like an easy decision. Like you said, like, why not? But then the Rays just are very stubborn. Yeah. I think you have to think, well, okay, if he's up on the team, whose spot is he taking? Because he hasn't been expected to be on the teams to start opening day this whole time. So, it's not DeLuca, right? DeLuca's they're going with him in some form or fashion, whether that's they decide to platoon him and Simpson, or I don't know. Is it Curtis Mead who's hit well? Is it does that mean Eloy doesn't make the team? But Eloy's a different skill set, and he's going to bring you a power threat in the lineup, and that's something the Rays just don't have. So I feel like for him to for Eloy, he doesn't have to do nearly as much.
He's going to be in the DH spot most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of thinking with where they've got him batting. I mean, they're throwing him at 3. I think they view him as a power threat that they're going to stick with, into the season to see how he does, and then maybe DFA him if it's not working out. So I just don't know whose spot he takes. Of course, there's always the possibility of an injury happening, and he could come up that way. But he's easily been the biggest surprise and the best performer consistently thus far. I know it's only been a week or so. But
I can also see them plugging him into maybe a leadoff spot.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of the speed. I'm thinking of,
Yeah.
okay, you get a guy like that on base, and
I think-
then, Yandy or Junior could, bring him over. He could score easily.
I
If a
think-
guy like that was speed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, and the coolest thing about Simpson, well, first off, at the leadoff spot, I think that if he's on the team today, right, if he's opening days today and he's on the roster and he's starting game 1, I think you probably slot him at 9 as that kind of like second,
Kind of like what they did with Kiermaier.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kiermaier at 9, and then
you would go, Simpson down at the bottom of the order. So that way he gets on. Now you got guys. I know they're talking about potentially moving Yandy off leadoff, maybe switching things up. But regardless, you have, let's just say for argument's sake, Yandy's still leading off. You have Simpson at the bottom of the order. Then you got, Yandy to, opposite field single, or, and Simpson's already folding second, and so maybe he comes in. You have guys behind Simpson if he's at number 9 that can take advantage of him, as we saw yesterday, right? Like, I mean, he gets on base with a slap single to the right field, steals second. Driscoll grounds out the third. He, grounds out to second. He moves to third, and then Yandy brings him in on an RBI ground out. Mm-hmm. So I think if you put him at 9, I think that's just, you're kind of easing him in, but you're still putting him in a spot where he can be best utilized with big time batters behind him to drive him in after he makes, a stolen base or two.
I think with the Rays coming into this season, they just need to be more. I had the Madden days where Madden was just creative with like all the lineups and stuff. Right. Just be creative like that. So I've been hearing some good news about Danny Jansen. He's been tearing the cover off the ball. I think it's hopefully safe to say the Rays maybe found their power hitting catcher in Danny Jansen, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
The curse may be over. That's a bright spot. I've been hoping we would try and get as a catcher that could hit the ball, and hearing him hit a couple dingers 2 days in a row, that's also a good sign too as well. So
yeah, I mean it's great. So I mean they've got good standouts. I mean, Simpson. I know he's today against the against Red Sox. He's not starting, but he's on the roster for today, so he'll get some time again today.
If he comes in the season and gives me at least 20 to 25 home runs and bats at least over 230.
Oh, you're talking about Danny Jansen.
Yeah, bats over at least 230. I'm going to be happy with that.
Oh yeah, well I think even last year I know he was hurt some. Mm-hmm. I think he was on pace for like 18, 20 home runs.
Yeah.
If I recall. So, I mean, anything from the catcher position more than, Alex Jackson and Rortvedt. I've never had an issue with Rortvedt. Again, it's kind of my Taylor Walls argument. Like Rortvedt should never have to have been the starting catcher. That was never supposed to be his position. It was for Rene Pinto, and he was terrible. And then Taylor Walls, again, like I mentioned, like he was never supposed to be their starting shortstop. So, like, I think that if Rortvedt's in that backup role and Danny Jansen's able to take the starting role and move, just really succeed in that role, it's going to be all the better for the Rays. One last thing about Simpson that's really interesting is his profile. It screams as a profile that deserves to, if there's anybody that deserves, if he performs well enough in spring training, to get an opportunity at the majors without having to go to AAA, it's this guy, because if he's solid in the field, he's obviously, the fastest guy in the minors, probably the fastest guy in the majors. And, you can't, that doesn't matter in whatever level he's in, right? That carries and plays no matter. And then he's proving to be a threat on the bases. And then the biggest thing is that he doesn't strike out. So it's not that you're dealing with a guy that's, he's
4 for 5 the other day, I think it was.
Like a Carson Williams, right? Like, I mean, I think he could play now, right, with his field, with his glove, and he could be a valuable contribution. But offensively, you're looking at a guy that's probably going to get exposed big time with the strikeout numbers until he's able to refine his approach and mature a little bit and just grow. And so that's why you say, okay, he definitely needs some time in AAA to adjust and improve his approach at the plate. Chandler, yes, he could do that, but I mean, the guy is, he's got a college batting title, he's got a minor league batting title, he's led the minors in stolen bases twice. If he's able to be competent in center field and, not be a liability, but actually be a plus defender, and then he's showing a propensity during spring training that, hey, the strikeout numbers are real, he's not swinging and missing, his whiff percentage is single digits, whatever, to me, that screams like, all right, well, if we can find a spot for him, like, let's see what he can do. I mean, he might, that excitement. He seems like a guy that's going to bring excitement to the team, and the Rays just need that. They need excitement. Not to say they won't be good without it, but I just think that it would make them all the more exciting from a fan perspective. And not to transition seamlessly, but if the fans are going to come out at these prices, we need some excitement, in the form of Chandler Simpson, in my opinion. But
that was a good transition because I think that's what I wanted to go with. Good transition.
Walked right into it. I didn't even realize where I was headed with
it. You ran right into second base with that one. Yeah, ticket prices went out today for single game tickets. If you're a Rays insider or a Rays season ticket holder, past or present, you got kind of first dibs. They just went on sale about 2 hours ago. I mean, we knew prices were going to increase. We knew that. We knew the premiums were going to go up, especially when they had the sale go on for like the box seats and the season tickets and everything like that. But I wasn't expecting that much of a bump because the average ticket price for opening day is like around, I think what's left, if you're looking at it, like around 140, 150.
Not the average. That's the lowest.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, the lowest. So you're looking at about 140 to 150, like in the low end range, and then high end range you're looking at
after fees, I think.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Don't forget about the fees that Ticketmaster tax on too as well. So I mean, you're looking at per ticket maybe 180 total wise per ticket when after taxes and all that stuff too. I was. I wanted to go to opening day. I did. I was like all set, ready to go, and I'm like looking at these prices. I'm like, it's not worth it, man. I mean, it is worth it to go to the opening day, but it's like at these prices, it's like I'll just go to Ferg's. Mm-hmm. I'll Uber to Ferg's, watch the game, and have festivities at Ferg's instead of driving all the way up to Steinbrenner Field and paying probably another extra $50 for parking.
Right.
So I looked at other games. Other games are a little bit less. And I'm just surprised that opening day against the Rockies, they're putting that type of price on. Now, I have looked at when they play, the bigger teams like the Yankees and the Red Sox. So I'm sure those tickets are going to be way more expensive. But I mean, it's sad, but it's also like I get it. They're in a lower seating the stadium. They've got to pack the house. They're in a bigger market, but it's also kind of defeating, especially for some people that can't afford it. It's like, hey, I want to take my family, but I'm going to be paying almost $1,000 for Rays tickets where, back last year where the average ticket price was maybe,
right,
$20-$40, and the cheapest, the tickets at the Trop were $10 sometimes. And now there's going to be a limited number of standing only seats that will be released just before the series starts. So if you're holding out for the $20 standing room only tickets, hold out. I'm sure there's only going to be a limited number of those going to be given out. I think 100 of those are going to be giving out. So if you're going to wait on those. Good luck to you. There's going to be only a limited amount, but it's, it sucks. It sucks. Yeah. I mean, what do you think? I mean, the high ticket prices, especially at a minor league field, it's for the Rays, and it sucks.
Yeah, I'm disappointed. I know we had talked. I think we had talked on our last podcast. I can't remember if this was on camera or off, but I'll be in town the week of opening day, and so my wife and I were going to go Friday to opening day. It was a tradition for us when we were living in the area, and it's really the only opportunity I'll have to go to a game at Steinbrenner this year. And yeah, it's just too high of a price for us. I mean, I think in my mind, I was thinking we would probably spend 80 to 90 a ticket. That's kind of where in my mind, I was like, all right, that's where I see it happening. And that for me was feasible. And then I started seeing some screenshots come out yesterday where it was like 130 a ticket. Yeah. And it's just too much for.
So I'm on Ticketmaster.
$300.
I'm looking at Ticketmaster right now. So I'm actually surprised about this. Series against the Red Sox, the lowest is around $63, and that's for the right field terrace, which I think is at that standing room only area. And then when you get into the 100s, it's not too bad. It's around $100 depending how close you get to home plate. So I'm surprised about that. I'm surprised how opening day tickets are jacked up in price, but regular season, I mean, you're going to be paying, low end, like in the 60s and 70s, high end. If you want to get close to home plate, you're going to be spending. I mean, even for the Yankee series, it's not that bad, but it's still expensive. You're looking about, over $100, almost $200 if you're going to like get closer to home plate.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
I'm on the Rays ticketing website because I have the pre-sale for the Rays Insider or whatever, and it says the cheapest ticket I can get on the range is
140. Yeah, 145.
It looks like. I mean, but you go through, you click some of these sections that still have tickets available for for one person, and there's, I mean, in some sections there's maybe a dozen or so, but I mean, a lot of these sections in the 200s and stuff, I mean, where it's $177 for a seat, right? I'm looking at row 211, right? That's the upper deck right behind home plate. There's 2 seats left in that entire section.
Okay. I mean, so they're selling. I mean,
So,
I think that's because of where they're at. I mean, they're in Tampa
Yeah.
now. Tampa's a bigger market. You're gonna have a lot more people out there.
I mean,
So
this will
that's
sell
good.
out. I mean, this will sell out. And honestly, that's all I care about. I mean, I really want to go, and it's kind of one of those things that just as a sacrifice, like we're not going to do it. We're going to be smart. For us, at least, it's not the smartest decision to spend $300 on one baseball game. So I'll be relegated to trying to watch the Rays on the road. My family and I were going to try and go see them in DC this year. And I can get 6 tickets for the same cost for 2 tickets at this one game. So
see, this incentivizes me to go and get the package from FanDuel TV. Is get that $20 a month for the Rays Lightning ticket package, streaming package now. Because I mean, I don't know how many games I'm going to be going up to Steinbrenner Field. I mean, where I live at to Steinbrenner, you're talking about an hour drive, and then after the game, it's chaos and off of Dale.
Yeah, you're one of the people. I think it's a farther drive.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the Bradenton area, so trying to get up there is kind of a hike and everything. But I mean, I'm going to go. It's just the number of games I used to go to is going to go down significantly because of where I live at. But I'm still going to try to go.
Of course. Well, yeah. So it's disappointing. It was so much more beyond what I was anticipating price wise.
Yeah, me too.
That I was, it was a bit shocking to me. Even though I felt like I was thinking a higher number than what they had been in the past. I mean, I think we would always send the outfield at the Trop, and I think opening day would be like $40 or $50, which you always.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, so
Especially
I know.
I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. The what is it? Some of those other series in May and in the summer and stuff against non-premium teams are going to be.
I'm sure the series against the White Sox will be pretty cheap. So I mean, we have something to look forward to for that. So
yeah.
All right, so I want to transition into the last part of our show. I know we kind of did a boycott of talking about the stadium and what all the shenanigans going on, but a local personality who's a good friend of the show, JP Peterson, came out last week saying there is a Tampa-based group that is in process, in negotiations to buy the Tampa Bay Rays. Take it with a grain of salt, people. We don't know how much truth to this report is. JP does have some ears to the ground. He knows people on the inside. So, I mean, I'm sure there is some truth to this report. And I'm also sure there's a little bit of maybe not so truth to the report, but I think there is a little bit of truth that there is a Tampa-based group that is probably in negotiations to sell the Rays. And I think it makes sense because of the delay that the Rays are doing, all the stuff that they're coming out with. They don't have enough money. They're delaying, their side of the bargain for the bonds, which they have like about a month left to do, which is the deadline was March 31st. So, I mean, he came out and said that it could be coming the end of next month, right before the bonds are supposed to be, released by the 31st. So, Look, I know JP. I've worked with him before on projects. Sometimes he's right, sometimes he's not. This whole thing has gained a little bit of traction. People are talking about a Rays sale. I mean, I think the Rays are in a spot where I think now is the time. It is time for Stu to maybe sell the team and just give it to a group that is going to spend money and help the team outgrow and put the stadium where it needs to be. The only thing I'm concerned about is if Stu decides to sell the team, is the front office personnel going with him, or are they going to be staying with new leadership when the new ownership comes in? That's my only concern.
Right.
Thoughts on this rumor? Do you think the sale is coming?
I do, because I'm the group that's buying. I actually have.
Oh, okay, you are. Okay, you got the extra.
Yeah, this is a Rays Rewind exclusive. I've been sitting on.
We are buying the team, everybody.
I recently came into about $4 to $5 billion.
I heard he wants 2. The team is valued at 1.2, I think, something like that. So
Orbs or something.
Yeah, if he's trying to sell, I would say, look, meet me in the middle. Let's go 1.5. I don't think he's going to get 2.
No, I mean, I'm sure that's just a negotiation tactic from him, considering, just like anything. I mean, when you sell in a house or something, it's valued. It gets valued at 400. You're going to go into the market at a little higher and see if you can get a little bit higher. I don't, so I'm sure that's just him, putting a number out with the intention of negotiating if he is indeed trying to sell. I know he came out and said, Stu Sternberg being, that he said, if I was going to sell the team, you would know about it. But
there's a lot of things that he says that.
Right. I think that you can kind of look back. I know, JP's the one that's come out and said there is a group specifically, or 2 groups, I believe.
Yeah.
And then, Tampa based, all those things. I know I've heard Evan Klosky mention before that, not anything specific as what JP did, but that, of the reasons why the Rays would wait to the deadline to give any answer to St. Pete and Pinellas County is, in fact, if there are negotiating a potential sale at, after the fact. And so that would be something that would kind of fall in line, right, with what JP is saying, is that they're going to wait. They're going to say no to St. Pete, and then they're going to come out with this sale news. That's possible. I think Ken Rosenthal's, national writer, right? He's written about Stu Sternberg and how the right move for him is probably to sell the team.
I think MLB is to the point where they're want this to happen, because I think they're just sick and tired of the ongoing drama that this is the stadium. I want to ask you, Drew, do you think this goes back further than what we've been hearing? Because I think this may have started last year when the first approval of the bonds, where the Rays were supposed to get them from Pinellas County, and they said yes, and then they said no. I think it goes back further than that. I think this whole thing was a negotiation tactic with Stu about, okay, if I get the land deal, if I get this approved and I can get the land deal, I'll keep the team, and then I'll develop the land. I'll build the new stadium. Now the back and forth of them has gotten so bad. Rays are coming out saying we don't have enough money. They're not going to end up. They may not, put up their part of the bargain for the bonds. I think this goes back farther than that, because I think in his mind is like, I get this done, I can get the money I want. But now he's probably to a point where, I should just sell this team so I can get out of this and I don't have to deal with this stuff anymore. I think it goes further back. I think it goes back to last year. I think this has been the wheels have been motion since last year.
I don't think the door was ever shut on Tampa. Even when the stadium was all set to go. Now, a couple things. I think the Rays PR angle of all this and how they've responded,
terrible.
It's very disjointed. It's very weird. I don't understand. I don't know. It's all politics. I'm not involved in the Pinellas and St. Pete politics, so I don't understand what their plan is or why they're going at it this way, where it's very combative and.
It's a very he said, and it's like, why do this out in the media where everybody's scrutinizing both sides? It's not just the Rays, it's also Pinellas County too as well. It's like, guys, you guys are acting like a bunch of little kids trying to fight over the same thing. Like, get it behind closed doors. Stop doing this out in public, fighting about this whole deal. It's like, just get it done or sell the team. I think to this point, we all just want an end game to this whole thing is, look, either get the stadium deal done or sell the team and get out and let somebody new ownership come in and, really care about the team like a Tampa Bay based area group should, is care about the team. We're all just tired. I've said this many times on this show. It's like a broken record, man. It's like ongoing. Every single season we have to hear something about the stadium. And Stu, it's like, guys, just end it right now. And if this is it where they sell, we're all going to be clapping and saying, thank God.
Yeah.
Because it's fine.
As long as it's to a Tampa group, right?
Right. As long as it's to a Tampa group. Exactly.
I mean, last year, I know we said this too. It's, as Rays fans, you went through varying degrees of like, all right, we're putting a lot of energy in the stadium talk, and it's like, it's going to happen. And then, for years it never would. And then it was just years and years of constant battling.
Yeah.
And then they finally got it over the finish line, and it was like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. We can finally never talk about this again. Mm-hmm. And so it's like everybody just took a big sigh of relief and was like, all right, we're done. It's off our shoulders. We're done with it. And then all of a sudden now it
spiraled out of control again.
Spiraled out of control faster than anything. And it was like, not only is this maybe not going to happen, it's probably not going to happen. And now what does this mean? And as a Rays fan personally, and I feel like I maybe similar to others, is that it's like at this point, like I expended all of my energy on this for the last several years, and especially when this got done over the finish line, and I'm over it. So now that it's back to this whole, like he said, she said, what's going to happen, I have no ability to care. I have no ability to care about it. I don't have any energy for it. And part of it might be because I'm not in the area anymore, but whatever happens. And honestly, at this point, they get what they deserve. Yeah. I will say, I think for me, I know that the stadium needs to be in Tampa. However, I think just for it to have gotten to this point, I never would have wanted, obviously, the hurricane, the destruction, all the things that have happened. I would rather that not have happened at all and things have just progressed like they should have. Yeah. However, with the stadium situation in Tampa and being in Steinbrenner, I do think that seeing, right, I mean, even though they've jacked the prices up, I mean, they've, from what the Rays have said and what's been reported, the season ticket packages have sold very well.
Okay.
We were just talking about the single game tickets being, double the prices we even thought they were going to be. And it doesn't seem like they're having any trouble selling the tickets. So I think maybe having a season, having some actual data, right, to show like, hey, this is not even in downtown Tampa or Ybor City, but it's just in the Tampa area on the right side of the bay, and you're getting all of this success for these higher, more expensive ticket prices. Perhaps maybe that's a blessing in disguise of, all right, clearly Tampa
is always and should have been the place for the stadium.
It was maybe the final straw for somebody in Tampa with, these buying groups, right? These groups of people that get together to buy teams. Like maybe that's what they needed to see to be like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Because clearly if we put a really nice stadium in downtown Tampa or in Ybor City, that's even closer to more people, and it's in a prettier area, all the things, more seats, state of the art, like people are going to come out, and it's going to be financially a huge, a very, very good investment for whoever wants to buy the team. Because in my opinion, I think the Rays have a lot of potential to be a team that, you hear about, and obviously just the way money works and inflation works, things rise over time, right? But, they buy the team for 1.5. I think they're a team that could easily be a really, a cool team in the league, right? With the stadium, they could have a great vibe to them.
And they could start to get big name free agents too.
You get players coming in, the fans in Tampa are great, right? We've seen that with the Bucks and Lightning. You get that at the Rays. Like they have a lot of room to grow, I think, potential, financially. And so personally, I think that it would be a great investment.
Manfred said the Rays aren't leaving the Tampa Bay area because they are a money machine. They are the 11th TV market in all of baseball. So people are watching. People are watching in this area. I think the placement has to be in Tampa. That has to be it.
And I'm excited for the Steinbrenner stuff. I mean, I think it's going to be, like I said, I really enjoy reading about Cash's comments. He's talking about galvanizing the team. And I think if there's a team that can kind of rally around a weird season, it's the Rays.
Yeah.
Kevin Cash is that kind of manager. I think that, creates an environment It's on the players to create, to keep the clubhouse environment strong and, have some leaders in there. So hopefully that, improves this year. But I don't know. I think it's a season that's set up to be really successful. And I know we talked about this in other episodes, but we'll talk about it more in depth on some season preview stuff coming up. But
yep. All right. So the over under is 81.5.
I saw 80.5 on one site. I got, it was like,
it was 81.5 on Hard Rock. So are you going over or under?
81.5?
81.5.
So basically, are they 500 or not?
Yeah.
500?
Yep.
I mean, I think that's an easy over, personally.
I'm going over as well.
I mean, I'm not going to assume terrible injuries or anything. I mean, if they avoid having season-ending injuries to key guys, I think that this is.
If everything clicks, everybody's healthy, this team will be very dangerous.
Even if like they just avoid guys getting Tommy John or losing guys for months of the year, like it doesn't have to be an injury-free season it just has to be, hey, let's not have 4 of our pitchers go down with Tommy John or something else.
The stars have to align.
Yeah, like, junior, and the floor is so high and the stadium is such a better environment for offense that I think it's going to be hard for them to replicate how bad they were last year. So, yeah, over for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Well, guys, we'll end on that note. Thanks for joining into the Rays Rewind podcast, the sickest Tampa Bay Rays podcast on the Sick Podcast Network. Make sure to go to your YouTube page at the Sick Podcast, Rays Rewind. Hit the subscribe notification bell. We'll be back with a new episode next week. We'll start doing some season previews, and we'll give you some insights on what 2025 is going to look like. See you guys later. Peace.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Rays Rewind with L. Bushman and Drew on YouTube, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.